Good morning. Pastor Ron Jetter, Immanuel Lutheran Church, 3rd and Euclid, Grandview, Washington, here in the sanctuary. And it is Tuesday, the 5th of January. This evening at sundown, which is about 4:30 p.m., provided we can even see the sun, the season of Christmas ends. The 12 days of Christmas that began on the 24th of December at sundown ends today. So this is the 12th day of Christmas. This is the Lords of Leaping Day, or I forget anyway. Doesn't matter. This is the final day of the season of Christmas. Yes, the world puts Christmas away as soon as the cash registers close, and that's usually midnight on the 24th. They milk it, waiting for the day when they just keep on going. Used to be Thanksgiving Day was a no-no, and then the stores said, we're going to start Black Friday on Thanksgiving Thursday. Christmas so far is pretty much a holy day, a day when even the merchants say, all right, the employees need the day. We all need to take this day. It's a Christian holiday, not a Jewish holiday, not a Muslim holiday. Nonetheless, nationally, we recognize it as a day when things stop. And it has a lot to do with the fact that that's when shopping stops. Right up until the after Christmas shopping. And that goes on. But the songs stop in the stores, the decorations come down, and all of a sudden we got Valentine's Day in the stores. Because it's the next thing that they can sell product for. Now, I was really amazed when I go to Bi-Mart every so often, pick up meds or whatever. I don't check my Tuesday numbers anymore like I used to. But they have a candy aisle, and the candy aisle didn't really diminish at Halloween. But I noticed that companies that make the candy were smart. They didn't just label it as Halloween candy, put little bats and ghosts all over everything. They basically made it in colors that could then be used at Christmas time as well. There was a lot more green and red candy among the Halloween candy because it just got moved to a different section about 3 feet down, relabeled holiday candy. And now it's going to be the red and green may disappear. The red will stay, of course, and then it'll be added with pink and white. And then, of course, the Easter colors will use the red or the green again and add some more purple and whatnot. They keep remarketing it. I wonder how old that candy will be come Easter. Don't really want to think about it. Back to Epiphany. Today, Epiphany begins. The tradition was, and we're not sure when it started, but that there would be a bonfire on Epiphany. And what would they use? Well, they would use the Christmas tree, because by the 12th day of Christmas, the tree was good and dry. So they would cut branches off of it, cut it apart. People would bring their trees, and I've been part of churches that did this tradition. We would gather around a bonfire. We would sing songs of the coming light, because this is the season of light that we are entering. Epiphany, or in the Greek, epiphanos, enlightenment. We can see. And I appreciate sight more than ever, having had cataract surgery and for the first time in 50 years not wearing glasses, and I still look for my glasses thinking, where are my glasses? Oh, that's right, I don't wear glasses anymore. I don't need to wear them, but I still look for them. I'm not yet fully enlightened. It's a struggle against what the mind has known. And that's a good kind of analogy for the season of Epiphany. We struggle against what the mind has known, what the heart has known, what the body has known. That's what basically addiction is patterns that are so deeply ingrained that we follow them even though we may know that's not good for us. Okay, sitting, the new smoking, right? I wear a watch that says it's time to get up, get out of that chair, walk around, go take a walk. Well, today's the 5th of January. If Sue and I walk with our dog, it will be 5 days in a row in this new year. And it looks like it will be a nice enough day out, colder than yesterday, but not rainy. A little cloud coming into the church today. Yeah, so establishing new patterns. How long does it take to establish a new pattern? Well, the general wisdom is that it takes about 6 months. 6 months. There's rumors that in 21 days you can get rid of any old pattern and reestablish a new one. Well, the science doesn't really support that, but 6 months is what it takes for the average person, for their mind, their body, their heart, their soul, their strength, to have a new pattern that has completely replaced an old, not quite as healthy pattern in their lives. How do we replace the pattern of sin? Well, that's a good question. The season of enlightenment is about Jesus as the teacher, the one who comes to bring us the knowledge. If only knowledge was all we needed. By the way, just so you know, a little bit of knowledge about some of the things we do. You can see the baptism banner is up there. The paraments are now green throughout the church. The green banners are throughout the church. And we have the baptismal font right here. The one Sunday of the year when we are not baptizing someone, that the font is here, and it has greens in it. Again, the tradition on the first Sunday after the Epiphany being the star in the sky, the first Sunday after that, one leftover green, a leftover bough from the tree is taken, and it is dipped in the waters of the baptismal font, and then the congregation is sprinkled with that in remembrance of their baptism. So this Sunday, we will indeed have the annual affirmation of baptism, in which all of us together as a congregation reaffirm ourselves as citizens of the kingdom of God by the work on the cross of Jesus the Christ of Nazareth. So I will be asking you in emails to get a green and get some water and be ready, because most of you will be on Zoom, so sprinkle yourselves wherever you are. And if you're not part of the congregation, join in on Zoom. If you can get this, then send a message and we'll get you the link to worship. Or at some point, take a green and sprinkle yourself. Make the sign of the cross. And remember, you are a child of God, baptized into the kingdom of God. And now a few words on, you got it, Leviticus. Chapters 3 through 7, which completes the first section of Leviticus. It's all about the ritual. And I'm going to turn this a little bit because that light glares. There we are. Got a nice banner in the background too. The ritual. Well, we looked at the first 2 chapters, animal sacrifice, grain sacrifice. So chapter 3, it's great. It's called Offerings of Well-Being. If you're doing well, if you're prospering, you are commanded to make an offering. And it goes into pretty good detail, a whole chapter about the offerings you will make. We make offerings, and it's generally assumed that our offerings are well-being offerings. We refer to our tithes and offerings. The tithe, the first offering, the 10% or whatever you choose to give, that's your well-being offering. It's saying, I'm doing well. And thanks be to God, I'm doing well. We understand when people are not doing well during hard economic times, especially those who have been hit with economic challenges because of COVID-19. We expect that their offerings will feed their families. God understands the church certainly isn't going to die because people aren't offering. Those who are doing well can make extra offerings to help out those who can't. God expects us as a community to support each other. We should never say, I don't care how you're doing, you give your well-being offering even if you're not being well or doing well. Chapter 4 then, in fact it goes chapter 4, 5, 6, and 7. Really, the rest of it deals with sin offerings. At least the 3 chapters do. So you get all of 4 and most of 5 sin offerings. Why? Because, well-being, everybody, well-being is good, but sin, we got to get specific. So specific sins have specific offerings. And then you have, at the bottom of chapter 5, sin when restitution is involved. So not only do you make an offering to God, but then you have to make restitution to the injured party. So they're sinning against God, and they're sinning against God and other people. And Yeah, today we separate sin against God as something we deal with in the church, and restitution as something that happens in civil courtrooms. They didn't have that. They were a theocracy. There was no separation between church and state. The religion was the state. God was the ruler. Moses was God's ambassador. Aaron was God's priest. But God ruled them directly during this 40-year period of wandering. The end of chapter 7, when you finally get through 5 and all of 6 with restitution and sin, chapter 7 deals with how to make those offerings. So it's more instructions for the priests on the way, the specific way, and it will refer to as certain portions of the offering need to be scattered to the east of the altar. Certain portions need to be placed on the south of the altar. Very specific. When you think about that, our altar is here in the church. Of course it is. Obviously, their altar wasn't inside a building because it's constantly burning sacrifices. It was a stone altar outside. The tent had the Ark of the Covenant where Moses would go into the presence of God. Nobody else went into God's presence. Today, we don't sacrifice on our altar. Rather, we remember the sacrifice of Christ when we share the bread and wine of communion that becomes his body and blood for us. See you tomorrow.